Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report this weekend. Jarod Creed as well as Chip and Nellinger joining us. All right, this week, the market action. I mean, last week we were talking about these Pro Farmer Crop Tour results. Pro Farmer coming out with their number well below what USDA's last forecast said. So, Chip, I mean, you thought that maybe we would see some fireworks on Monday, but why did that not happen this week in the markets?
Well, I think a couple things. We did rally into last Friday, the Pro Farmer numbers. We saw a nice rally, and we tried to rally the first of this week. I think we're running into a lot of financial market headwinds. We've got the dollar essentially at 20-year highs. You've got the interest rates now basically retesting the highs from a couple months ago. Stock market's well off its highs from a couple weeks ago. And there's still general, fears about an overall world economic slowdown, and that seems to be the headwind right now. Pro Farmer was out undoubtedly bullish on the corn. I don't think there's any question that yields have shrank back from what the perception was a month and a half ago. But now does the USDA tell us that? And that's still a week and a half away, and they usually take a slow, measured approach to it. So in my mind, the financial market headwinds really kind of held us back this week.
Yeah, Jarod, you were on Pro Farmer Crop Tour. You saw some of the disaster in the Western Corn Belt firsthand. You're in Iowa. I mean, when you saw these yields come out from Pro Farmer, did it surprise you a bit based on what you had seen last week?
I don't know if saying that it surprised me is the right term. I would agree with Chip that at this point in the year, we've become accustomed to understanding what our production is in a much tighter range. And given all the various estimates that are in the industry, and no disrespect to Pro Farmer, at the end of the day, their estimate is just another private analyst estimate for total crop production. But again, at this time of the year, we're used to knowing that we have enough coming our way. And I'd say that the production guesses today are wider than normal, with an extreme amount of variability north to south, east to west, with the kitchen sink of issues been thrown at the American farmer this year, specifically on corn production and quite quickly catching up on soybean production.
So, Chip, then as we head into the September crop report, is there anything that could fuel this market, or do you think that actually we could see maybe more of a bearish reaction based just on how the markets are reacting right now?
Well, I think both. I think if the USDA, and this is a big if, has a fairly sizable drop in corn yields, and in my mind that means 3.5, 4 bushel drop in corn yields. I think that could be perceived as friendly under the assumption that they've got further to cut on the October and future reports. My fear, though, is since the Pro Farmer Tour dropped it down under 170, that the USDA takes a more measured approach, takes it down a bushel and a half. History has told you that as they bring the yield down, they also drop the demand, and that's going to make it harder to have a bullish reaction. So my fear at this point is, unless it's a 3.5, 4 bushel plus cut from the USDA, it might be perceived as bearish because of the depth of the cut from the Pro Farmer Tour.
I gotcha. Okay. And Jarod, I mean, based on how this last crop report from USDA was measured, that was based on surveys as of August 1st. We saw some areas where that crop really went backward since August 1st. But talk about the methodology then leading into this next crop report. Will they enter into fields, and what will be measured?
It's been well advertised that the August crop report was not going to have any numerator data, no USDA plots measured. That does happen in the September report. They will obviously see what they see. It's still a random process there. Odds are low that you're going to see any ear weights in the September crop report. It's probably going to be published out in October. So that means you're going to have an average, 3-year average of ear weights. So you're kind of backing into yield there. And I think Chip is right that the environment that we are in right now, you can't forget, we're still at $14 beans and $6.50 corn. The cash market is likely going to have to decipher where you have issues and where you don't. It's going to get tougher to have bullish and bearish reactions based upon USDA numbers, especially at this time of year, given everything else that we have going on in this world.
All right. Well, given what we know about the outside markets and what influence it had this week, given what we know about the crop potential in the field, What possibly should your game plan be when it comes to new crop just ahead of harvest? We'll talk to Jarod and Chip about that coming up later on U.S. Farm Report.